Hey guys! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Bibi and today I finally brought some BJD content, y'all. I know I've been saying like I'm gonna do some BJD related videos for a while now, and like I haven't because I was too busy, you know, like in love with my other dolls. But I finally brought it, you guys. So I've had this idea for like super long time, but like never like actually sat down to do it because, you know, I'm lazy. But yeah, so today's video is a little different. What I wanted to do was like sort of like a creative process type of video. So I've been talking about this BJD content like for a couple of my videos now because I haven't done like BJD related videos in a while, and you know, like I can't be throwing money here and there doing box openings. So like the idea I had was like a face-up video, but then I've had face-up videos on this channel and they didn't do so well. Like, I don't get it though. I'm not like a professional face-up artist anyways, and like my face-ups don't they don't look that great either. Alright, so I'm not gonna do like a just face-up only video. And then I thought, you know what, maybe I should do like a sewing video, but the sewing video by itself is kind of boring too. So I was on YouTube and I looked at like the doll custom channel side of the YouTube channel, and I was like, you know, that's a good idea, having like a theme. And like, so I've had this idea of doing like a face-up video and a sewing video and mash them together. So the theme I had for this specific doll has to do with my outfit, obviously. I don't know if you could tell, I'm like a schoolgirl. So the idea I had was sort of like a 2000s Japanese schoolgirl look. The type of genre it is called like the Gyaru style, and like from that genre there's like a sub-genre which is called Koga, and like that's like the high school girl Gyaru section. I really like that style, especially like a lot of like these shoujo genre like mangas and like animes I've watched. There's a lot of like these like Gyaru like characters, especially in like the 2000s era. And you guys know I love Y2K fashion, and like it just needed to happen. Inspiration I got was from like, I don't know if you guys read like Peach Girl, but I really love like Peach Girl, and I'm like, I love the art style, but I also love the fashion of it. So if you saw my like box opening video for the Tan Miwa, I have not touched her since I got her. I just wasn't into it, so I ended up selling that head and like the outfit, but I kept the like the body and the Miwa A head. But I decided to paint her into the Kogyaru style, and while I'm doing that, I will also be making the school uniform to go with the face stuff. So I'm pretty excited to show you guys what the process is. Let's go.
Alright, so the head I'm going to be working on today is the Minifee Miwa A head. So the kind of face up I'm doing today is the 2000s Gyaru style. Not the Gone Girl style, but more like the lighter style. So the first thing I'm going to do is start mapping it out with a lighter colored watercolor pencils. And I'm gonna go in and draw out the creases of the eyelid and the under. And then I'm gonna briefly mark the eyebrows. And then I'm going to take a darker watercolor pencil and just blend it in. And then I'm gonna go ahead and connect the upper eyeliner and the lower eyeliner into a point at the front. I saw it in like a makeup tutorial and I really like the look of it, the foxy look, and I think it goes really well with the Gyaru style that I'm going for. And then next I'm going to go ahead and start detailing out the eyebrows, give it more shape. Then I'm going to take a black watercolor pencil and start filling out the eyeliner. And then I'm going to start mapping out the underlashes with a lighter colored pencil and just draw them across. Same for the other side. I'm gonna go in with a darker color and just start building it on top. Then I'm gonna take the white color pencil and start filling out the waterline of her eyes. And this creates the illusion that the eyes are much bigger, which is done a lot in the Gyaru style makeup. Then I'm going to take the pink color pencil and start coloring out the waterline of her eyes. Then I'm going to start mapping out the lips. And I want her to smile a bit, so I'm going to be extending the mouth a bit. And then I'm going to take a salmon colored pencil and I'm going to start giving it more definition. And then start coloring in the tongue. And then I'm going to go ahead and start filling out the eyebrows after it's been sprayed. And then going back in to give it more definition with darker colors and just blending them out with the watercolor pencils. Then I'm gonna take the pastels and start blending in the tongue and like the lip color, and then repeat. Then I'm going to take the pastels and start filling out the eyelids, giving it more color and definition and depth into it. And I'm going to do that all around the eyes. Then I'm going to take a blue colored and start giving it more depth into it and blend it with the rose colored pastel. And this gives like a much more defined, detailed look of it. I think it also goes well if you do it for like tan skin dolls. Then I take a cotton swab and start dabbing the color for her cheeks. I prefer doing it this way because it picks up a lot of pigment and it's easier to like go back and like clean it off with the eraser instead of like building it up. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do it for the ears. And then I'm gonna add a beauty mark. Next, I'm going to take a loose pearl powder and start applying them on her waterline where the white watercolor once was. Then I'm going to put some on her nose bridge, the tip of her nose, and her cheeks to give that highlighted look. And then I'm going to go in and start putting gloss on her eyes and then onto her lips and tongue. Once it's dried, I'm going to start putting the glue on her eyes and then start attaching the eyelashes. And that's it for the face up. I think it came out pretty cute. What do you guys think? Does it look gyaru enough for you guys? So I got my materials ready for the uniform, a plain white cotton fabric, blue plaid cotton fabric, some buttons, and snaps. So the first thing I'm going to work on is the shirt. And I'm using a pattern that I bought from Japanese from Etsy, and the pattern costed about $5.31, and it's like a minifee sized shirt pattern, which is pretty easy to follow along as well. I will have the link to this pattern on the descriptions. And then start cutting out the patterns. So I got all my patterns cut out and they are ready to be sewn. And I'm going to start sewing the yoke of the top part of the back and the lower bottom of the back. One stitch, I'm going to top stitch the yoke. I'm going to mark the notches on front of the pattern and also the dart placements. Then I am going to sew the darts of the front of the pattern. Once it's sewn, the front should look like this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and iron it out and then attach the front and the back on the shoulders. Top stitch the shoulder part for both sides. Once that's done, I'm going to sew the collar, and it is a two-part collar, which is the collar that folds and then the collar that attaches directly to the shirt. I'm gonna go ahead and sew these sides. I'm going to baste the patterns together so that it's easier to sew on the machine. Then I'm going to cut off all the excess fabric so that when it's turned inside out, it lays flatly. And that is the first half of the collar. Then the second pattern of the collar looks like this, and this attaches directly to the shirt. I'm going to attach them like so, and then sew the top part of the collars together and then have them inverted out. Once it's all sewn, it should look like this, and then you are going to invert it out. It should probably look something like this. Once the collar is done, you're going to attach it from the center back to the front where the notches were made earlier on. That's where you're going to line it up and then start sewing from there. I'm going to baste it first and then sew. Moving on to the sleeves, there's the wristband and the sleeve part, and the size doesn't match up because there is a dart in the bottom part of the sleeve, so you're gonna have to sew that. Once you do that, it should line up perfectly, and then you will sew the wristband to the sleeve part. Once that's done, you're going to fold the wristband in half and then sew on the other side as a top stitch. And for the top of the sleeve part, I've already made like small gatherings on it, and you're going to pull slightly so that it curves and fits the armhole. Then I'm going to baste it and then proceed to sew. Then I'm going to line up the sleeves and the front and the back and sew across. And this is how the shirt looks all sewn together. I'm gonna have my girl try it on. And then I'm going to be attaching these tiny white buttons onto the shirt. So I'm going to mark where I'm going to put the buttons and the snaps. And right where the buttons were, I'm going to be attaching these snaps right behind it. And that's the end of the shirt pattern. Moving on to the pleated skirt, I want the skirt length to be about 3.5 inches down from the waist, and it is 3 inches width apart. So I'm going to be using a fabric that I designed myself, and I will have the link to this fabric on the descriptions as well. And I'm going to measure down to where I want it to fall, and then I'm going to be cutting along. And once it's cut, What I'm going to do is basically fold them like so to make it into pleats. But before I start on the pleats, I'm going to be folding the bottom and stitch on the hem so that it's a clean finish. Then I'm going to pin it like so and start creating the pleats. And usually what I try to do is that the pleats are closer in the top waist area, but towards the bottom the pleats gets a little slightly elongated so that it creates more of like a flared look to the pleated skirt. Once that's done, I'm going to top stitch the top of the pleat so that it stays in place. And then I'm going to stitch the pleats down to a certain length so that when worn it lays flat and then kind of flares out at the end. And this is basically how the pleats should look, and I'm going to stitch the sides and close it up. Then I'm going to stitch a rectangle shaped fabric onto the waist to create a waistband and sew the top. Afterwards, I'm going to fold down the waistband part down and then sew the top stitch across. And with the fabric left over from the skirt, I'm going to be cutting a piece for the bow tie. I'm going to sew the rectangle shape into a smaller rectangle shape, and I'm going to leave an opening in the center. Once I finish sewing, I could pull it inverted out. Then I'm going to cut the sides. And then once that's done, I'm going to invert it out. And make sure the hole is big enough because it is a struggle to get it out. And then here we have the ribbon, and I'm going to scrunch them a bit so that it creates the ribbon look. And I'm going to be hand sewing the back together. Once that's done, I'm going to loop a ribbon through it and tie it on the back of the outfit. Next, I'm going to be doing the socks, and I didn't have a pattern, so I'm just going to use a sock that I already have. And I'm just going to be extending it longer, and this is done on like a stretch fabric. And from what I know is that these socks, instead of like the actual like separate leg warmer part, it's like a super long sock. Like I saw it somewhere being sold, and that's what I'm going to be doing by sewing them. Once finished sewing, cut the excess off and then invert them out. Which this was a struggle to do. And honestly, like, my hands were so tired at this point. I think I got like finger cramps. But back to it, pulled it out. But finally I managed to pull it out and slipping it onto her feet. And whoop, it popped out. But it's okay, we could put it back. It's magnifique. But yeah, and this is how I made the leg warmer-esque socks. And on to the second one. Oh, alright, it's done. So I'm gonna try it on. I'm going to put the eyes in her. And this is a wig I got for another doll, but I think this fits perfectly to her aesthetics right now. I'm gonna fix that up. And that's it.
So that was my face up and sewing process. And here is the final product of the doll. I think she makes a really cute Gyaru style doll. I really do love how the shirt and like the skirts came out. Of course, like the skirt needs a little work because I didn't size it correctly, so it's a little wonky on the back, but who cares. The shirt, as I've mentioned, I've actually used a pattern on Etsy, and I will have the link on the description below. I'm pretty happy with the way this came out. I definitely want to try more of like this sort of like a themed doll concept. Honestly, I think we look really cute as like some sort of like shoujo manga girls, like the ones that are in like the Gyaru group or whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that subscribe, like, and leave a comment. And I guess I'll see you guys again in another video. Bye!